Alright.
Alright, we're live. This is Xiao Dai, and this is the Pro Go Baduk Weiqi Podcast. And again, we have...
Gaza.
Gaza. Alright. Hope we didn't burst anyone's eardrum today. But let's get started. This is episode 20, but... So we've been doing this for 20 weeks straight. This is pretty crazy already. But let's look at the first big item of the rank. This is the Meijin Game 1 in Japan. Between Iyama, Yuta, and Shibano Toramaru. And this is the poster, by the way. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, I just want to preface this with I actually almost missed this game.
Right.
I didn't mention it. I didn't mention it last week in the schedule of upcoming games, and that's because usually when I look at check the Japanese games, I look at the Nihon Kiin YouTube page.
Yep.
And whenever they have a game that they're going to stream, they always have the video up like 2 or 3 weeks early.
Right.
Like it's a scheduling, like as a scheduled thing. But they didn't have one for the Meijin, so I didn't even realize it was on.
Right.
And it turns out that the Meijin wasn't streamed on the Nihon Kiin website. It was streamed on a different YouTube page.
Yeah.
The Ego Shogi channel or something like that.
Right. Oh, okay.
So I didn't find out about the Meijin until I think 2 days or maybe even the day before. So yeah.
Oh, well, I only found out about it when I saw the poster, and I was like, okay, well, that's starting soon. But yeah, it was very, very interesting. Now let's look at the results, because obviously Shibano was the youngest ever Meijin at 19. He obtained it Meijin at 19. Although he didn't obtain the Meijin by defeating Iyama, he got it from by defeating Quzhou, and Quzhou defeated Iyama 4-3 in a little bit of an unexpected result back in 2019, I do believe. So, and now Shibano's coming back after going titleless. He's going back to challenge for the Meijin again.
Yeah, so in 2020, that's when Shibano won it against Quzhou.
Yeah,
and then no, actually, it was 2019 that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then because 2 years ago, so it was actually in 2019 that Shibano won it.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, Iyama won it back from Shibano. And then in 2021, Iyama defended it against Ichiriki Rio.
Yeah.
So Iyama's had it he's held the Meijin for on many occasions, but his current streak is 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Shibano has now gotten an opportunity to try and win back his Meijin title.
Yeah. Now, except the title challenge didn't exactly go off to a great start, because Shibano actually lost the game.
Yes, he did lose. So this is game 1 of 7.
Yep.
And yes, in this game 1, Iyama did prevail, and the Meijin. Each game is played over 2 days.
Yep.
So there are 3 domestic titles in Japan where the title matches, each game is over 2 days. And this is one of them.
Yep.
The players get 8 hours of main time.
Yep.
And then, once they get to the end, they get 5 1-minute Byoyomis.
Yep.
And typically the first day, they'll play for maybe 6 or 7 hours. And then when it gets to a certain time period, one player can decide to play a sealed move and end that day's play. And then the next day, they'll unseal the move and play it on the board and continue the game.
Yep.
And the sealed move is not seen by anyone, only the player who is making that move.
Yeah.
So it's to try and make it as fair as possible, so that the opponent, the person whose turn it will be, doesn't know what the move is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I do believe the sealed move. Well, the day ended on Thursday. Ended here when Shibano as black made this attachment. So there's no prizes for guessing what the move is for Iyama in response. So yeah. So obviously, when the next day came, Iyama played his. So that's So that's as good as it got. Yeah. Gaza, is there anything else you want to mention about the game?
Well, it was Iyama got almost all 4 corners.
Yep.
You got like 3.5 corners.
Yeah.
I've seen that style of his in other games against Shibano. I think the Honinbo.
Right.
I think game 1 of the Honinbo also he got all 4 corners and ended up winning that game quite comfortably.
Yeah.
Now in this one, he was leading quite comfortably. It seems like he was steadily gaining points from on day 2.
Yeah.
But one question that I did have as a Q player, and it started off very early. It was the white stones on the left hand side, right in the middle. So even if you go back to something like move 50,
yeah.
So you can see that by the left hand stones I mean those 5 white stones in sort of in the very middle and to the left a bit.
Yeah.
They've got no base.
No.
And they're not obviously connected to any other white groups.
No. Yeah.
But they're not a set. There's still a lot of room to work with. But as a cube player, my question was, how is that? What's going to happen with that white group? How is Iyama going to, turn that into a safe group?
Yeah.
And this question that ended up being what decided the game in the end.
Yeah.
How this, it was this white group, and as the game went on and Iyama, continued to make gains, this white group ended up being the last sort of hope that Shibano had.
Yeah.
Sort of attacking this white group. Well, not just attacking it, but trying to kill it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, for professionals, like it's hard for me to say just how easy this was as a professional, but yeah, it only took it took until the very end of the game before it was clear that white could make this group live.
Yeah.
So I believe here, even if this is the very end of the game, if you're watching the video, and I think here white can either capture in the top left,
right,
and escape, or if necessary connect down to the bottom left corner.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a bit of a tricky situation. So I guess unless you spend time reading it out, you wouldn't be able to figure out exactly what's happening. So maybe, I think on the internet, even some people said they didn't understand exactly what's happening. So I also, at my level, I didn't fully understand it. I kind of have to check with AI to see what's happened, why Shibano resigned at this point. But I think the idea is that obviously at this point Shibano cannot Atari from this side, because then obviously that's obviously not going to work. That's die. So Shibano's only move is Atari from this side. So I guess the idea is that white can threaten this black group. So for example, white can play here. So that already cuts off this black group. So he said, well, this black group has 2 eyes. So basically what's happened is that you can Atari, throw in. Okay, it's destroy this eye. But of course black can Atari here and capture these 2 stones, and black can play here. So somehow white needs to connect. But then white's got a really nice move here. Just play here, and suddenly when you play here, black doesn't have 2 eyes, so black has to make 1 more eye. You say, well, this is an eye, but but when white plays here, black cannot try to live, because that would destroy the eye because of this connection. So therefore, when white connects here, black, if black makes this group live, then yeah, you see this Atari no longer exists. Then white can destroy the eye here, and black cannot make 2 eyes here. So I guess in a capturing race, white will capture black first. So I think that's the trick. You have to see all of this stuff, but it's very, very tricky, let's say. But I guess for a pro, this is pretty obvious, maybe. So that's why maybe Shibano just
yeah, I don't think it was that obvious. I think that even towards the end of the game, Iyama was taking. Well, he did have plenty of time, but he was taking his time reading out the position.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. I mean, there are quite a few moves here. So I think even if you're a pro at that level, you kind of have to be very careful. You have to check and double check. You've looked at everything. Yeah.
Yes.
So I say that's kind of understandable. But yeah, but I think this is the idea, that you can connect, and by cutting off this group, you can threaten this group and then somehow destroy all the eyes for this black group and win the capturing race that way, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably, even the final position is probably interesting for amateur players to read out.
Yeah.
To try and see how white does end up salvaging that group.
Yeah.
A good exercise.
Yeah, definitely. Because
but in the end, obviously Shibano solved that exercise and figured out that black really was truly without hope, and thus resigned.
Yeah. So white just simply got too much, and especially the side after capturing these 4 stones. So yeah, just black.
Oh yes, I'm pretty sure now. One of those black groups is dead. On the left, right? So
right, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, but even if it wasn't, I think white is ahead on the board.
Yeah.
Not even with the Komi.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's just nothing.
Yeah.
No chance for black, and yeah, it was a pretty I felt that was really the only interesting part of the game.
Right.
I didn't personally find anything else to be particularly exciting. It never seemed like Iyama was in too much difficulty, except for that groove.
Yeah.
Which he managed to save anyway.
Yeah.
So but other stronger amateur players may disagree and have found this game more exciting.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think it was
very exciting.
I don't think it was very exciting, but
yeah.
Maybe when I get stronger, I'll learn to appreciate these types of games more.
Yeah. Definitely not now. Not exciting for the spectator. It just felt like Iyama was just too comfortable the whole game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and Shibano just his attack on this group was just too little, too late.
Yeah. So,
but I have hope for the rest of this match. This was only game 1.
Yeah.
Definitely still plenty of room for Shibano. If you recall, so the last time these two played in a title match was last year's Honinbo.
Yeah.
And Iyama won game 1, but Shibano won the next 3.
Yeah.
And all of them were, were dragon kills.
Yeah.
And then Iyama went on to win games 5, 6, and 7. So that one really was an exciting title match.
Yes.
And if this match is anything like that, then I'll be pretty satisfied.
Yeah. So
I personally, for me personally, if there's a game 7, it doesn't really bother me who wins.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's hope it gets to game 7. So that's Meijin, the 47th Meijin.
Yeah. So
and now to another title, this time in Korea, the GS Caltex Cup. Gaza, you want to tell us something about this GS Caltex Cup?
Well, we covered the GS Caltex Cup last week because this is a best of 5 domestic title in Korea, domestic major.
Yeah.
And games 1 and 2 were played last week, and we covered those games.
Right.
And we essentially said that the games were quite lackluster.
Yeah.
And Byun Sangil was very clearly outplayed by Shin Jinseo on both occasions.
Yeah. And
so game 3
yeah,
was a must-win game for Byun Sangil.
Yep.
And so he needed to beat Shin Jinseo.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that this game went almost exactly the same as the first 2 games.
Yeah, maybe even worse.
This could possibly be the worst game of the 3 in terms of just how one-sided it was. I want to, no disrespect to Byun Sangil. He's absolutely a top 3 player in Korea.
Yeah.
But this is not one of his finest performances.
No. Now apparently he just keep going.
Yes. So in this game, Shin Jinseo is black.
Yeah.
Byun Sangil is white, and I believe move 37 was sort of the first interesting part of the game.
Yeah.
The first 36 or so moves were all sort of quite well known, and then here, apparently, the typical move, instead of playing this sort of fake net, is to just block at R15.
Yeah, just to connect under. Yeah.
Yes. But Shin Jinseo instead played at O14.
Yeah.
It's not really a net because white can just
you can push out obviously. Yeah.
But and white does descend.
Yeah.
But then white so this is where Byun Sangil makes the first mistake.
Yeah.
And here on move 40 he pushes.
Yeah.
And this actually doesn't work. And I'm guessing that Shin Jinseo sort of studied this.
Yeah.
Studied this sort of this move because of its potential for these types of trickery.
Yeah.
And for white to go wrong.
Yeah.
Because it does look like white can just sort of squeeze out black and make black have a lot of disconnections.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't actually work. Black was able to make white very sort of inefficient.
Yeah.
And have very little eye space. So if you play out the next few moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
bang.
Yeah, so now you can see white's got this very dirty dango here.
Yeah.
It's got no eye space, and it's still and black is reasonably solid at the moment, and then so solid that black can play this sort of really close move at P11.
Yeah.
And this actually works.
Yeah.
So white creates a ko.
I mean, it's not much of a ko, to be honest. Like, it's, you still need, even at this point, it's not much of a ko. It's really tough.
No, it really isn't. And I think it's really strong reading by Shin Jinseo. Again, I don't know how difficult it is to read these sorts of things out, but Shin Jinseo just can play these sorts of positions where he's got lots of running groups so well.
Yeah.
And so by move like 83 or something like that, already, so white has a little bit of a trade-off. White's managed to make some inroads in the bottom right corner.
Yeah.
But that group in the top right, that Dango, that's just completely dead. It doesn't even have. It has barely any RG.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a huge. Yeah, that's a lot of stones captured and a huge corner for Black.
Yeah.
And Black's ahead by like 10 points.
Yeah.
With like including the combing at least.
Yeah.
And there's really just nothing that White can do. It's just a hopeless game at this point. And Byun Sangil does play like, you know, for like 90 more moves, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
He just can't squeeze blood out of a stone.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a pro actually resigns, you know, by the time he made a Dango and he realized that, you know, this is hopeless, you know.
Yes, maybe he would have if this was game 1, but this was game 3 and he had to win it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you may as well just play on and hope that one of Black's groups is able to become weak or tricked or something like that. Yeah. I mean, we all saw what happened in game 1 of the LG Cup, right? The LG Cup final where Shin Jinseo seemed to be completely hopeless and he managed to trick Yang Dingjing.
Yeah.
But Byun Sangil was not able to do that. Shin Jinseo was just far too solid. And when in the bottom right, in the end, Shin Jinseo was able to make a group, and when White ran out of co-threats, so there was a co in the bottom right, but when White ran out of co-threats, that's when Byun Sangil finally resigned.
Yeah. It's just not a great game for Byun Sangil. Probably worst of the 3, but not that the first 2 were good games to begin with for Byun. So
Also, just to point out so the GS Caltex Cup is 1 hour time controls.
Yeah.
With 160-second Byoyomi. So it's the same as the Nongshim Cup. So it's not a slow time control.
Yeah.
1 hour main time. You almost always get to Byoyomi. In none of the games did either player get to Byoyomi.
Right.
So both players finished each of their games within the main time.
Yeah.
And that's pretty astonishing. All of the games were finished in about 100 minutes, 1 hour 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I've seen some of these GS Caltex Cup games. I think I saw one go for 5 hours. I think last year. I think it was Kim Ji Sok versus Unsung Jun.
Right.
There was this insane co-fight. I remember leaving the game to go for like a 1 hour run or something, and I come back to see who won, and the game was still going.
Right. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, these games, like the entire final took 5 hours.
Yeah. So
combined. Yeah.
Oh, well.
So typically that means that these players that Shin Jinseo didn't need to spend long to come up with his moves.
No. So I mean, I'm not surprised if Shin Jinseo had actually researched this particular position himself. Apparently, it's got to do with this stone down here. The placement of this stone means that Shin Jinseo can play this jump, something like that. I didn't read the article that was trying to analyze this position, but I think it's just way too complicated. But I think that's what it was. So I think Shin Jinseo had just done all the work. All the work was not in the game; was just before. I think so. It's just
preparation.
Yeah, prep. Insane.
And when your opponent, when you have the prep and your opponent doesn't, you've got a huge advantage. I have a feeling that the Miyu Ting versus Shin Jinseo Nongshim Cup game was similar in that Miyu Ting had prepared the position.
Yeah.
Because Shin Jinseo was like behind by about 20 points.
Right. Yeah.
After about 50 moves. That was the infamous game that ended up having the software error and the game was voided.
Yeah.
But it seemed like in that game, it seemed like Miyu Ting had prepared something that Shin Jinseo didn't expect. I could be completely wrong, but
well, I did hear that a couple of Chinese pro they say that in pro games, it's like every 10 moves there's a flying dagger, and every 5 moves there's a trap. They try to set a trap, and I think as I begin to play like really strong like high den player, like they would be like 4 or 5 stones stronger than me, but I like to just play them to see what happens. Like every now and then I see them play like a move that I thought, oh, this move is a bit slow. It's what's it doing? It's trying to attack my corner, but actually, one move later you realize that actually they were playing this move that looks slow, but actually aiming at something else. So it's like it's a bit like that. I think at pro level this could be even more like that. Like they just play some moves, and it's a trap. You could easily fall into it, and this is exactly what happened.
But they're not really trick moves, because even if you find the refutation, the move itself is still good.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's always multi-purpose, but one of them is to sets a trap for you, and this happens every 5 moves on average. So hey, this is what happens. Okay, so that's the GX Caltex Cup. A little bit of a anti-climax, I say.
Just to give a couple more details. So Shin Jinseo wins 70 million Korean won.
Yep.
In Australian dollars, that's about $70,000.
Yep.
That's the joint largest prize for a tournament in Korea, along with the Korean Strongest tournament, which Shin Jinseo also won earlier this year.
Yeah.
So he's getting a lot of coin.
Yeah.
That's also, in terms of his career titles, that's Shin Jinseo's 27th career title.
Very nice.
And that moves him ahead of sort of the legend, the pioneer of Korean professional Baduk, Cho Namchol.
Oh, wow.
Who had 26 career titles.
Yep.
And, that's impressive to have 27, but also keep in mind that a lot of these 27 titles were also won under, knockout formats.
Right.
Whereas in the past, a lot of the titles that were won in Korean Baduk involved a challenger system, where if you won the title, you automatically was seeded into the next title match.
Yeah.
So to keep winning the title, you just need to beat one person.
Right.
Each year. Whereas nowadays, there's very few Korean tournaments that have that format. Really, only the Korean Strongest.
Right. So what's Shin Jinseo's 5 consecutive victories in a knockout format tournament? Is that a record?
I think that might actually be a record.
Yes.
So he's won this GS Caltex Cup 5 years in a row now.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely insane. I think the only other professional title that I think may have been won 5 times consecutively in a knockout format was the Kansai Kiin Championship.
Right.
So that's from players from the Japanese Kansai Kiin. I believe Hashimoto Shoji won that 5 years in a row.
Right.
And at the time that he won it, I think it was in the 50s.
Right.
It was a knockout format.
Right.
Nowadays, the Kansai Kiin Championship is a title holder challenger format.
Right.
So the title holder gets seeded into the next tournament. But I believe that it was actually from 1970 to 1974, where Hashimoto Shoji won 5 consecutive Kansai Kiin championships. And I believe at the time it was a knockout format where he had to, even if when he won it, he had to play in the knockout the next year.
Right. And
but in that case, it was just the Kansai Kiin, so it wasn't even all of Japanese professionals. It was just professionals in the Kansai Kiin organization, whereas the GS Caltex Cup is open to all Korean professionals.
Yep, correct. Now, also, I could only find there was an article that I read which summarized like consecutive wins of a tournament, knockout tournament, of course, in a title challenger system, there were lots of players that have achieved more than 5 wins, but they have looked at the knockout tournaments where there were what were the records, before this, and they could only find 4 consecutive wins, and as best as I can recall, the tournaments were the Jianqiao Cup in China. That's a women's only tournament. Zhang Xuan won that 4 times in a row. There's the Rookie King or Shin Jinseo in Japan. Yamashita has won that 4 times in a row. And I believe there was another one. It might have been a youth tournament or something. I can't remember. But yeah, but as far as
the Rookie King one is actually interesting. So Yamashita Keigo won that 4 times in a row. That's interesting because under current rules for the Rookie King tournament, if you win it, you can't participate anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can only win it. So nowadays, under current rules, you can only win it once.
Right.
So Yamashita's record will perhaps remain forever.
Yeah.
For the Rookie King Championship, please.
And also I believe the Asian TV Cup was won by
that's right,
Takemiya Masaki.
Takemiya Masaki. He did win the first 4 editions of the Asian TV Cup.
Yeah, so all of those stops at 4. And if you look at it, they are kind of restricted competitions in one way or another. So that makes Shin Jinseo's achievement even more impressive. Now, Shin Jinseo also equaled the record for the most number of wins in GS Caltex Cup in this one, isn't he?
Well, who has also won it 5 times?
Lee Chang-ho.
Lee Chang-ho. And I believe Lee Chang-ho won it 4 times in a row.
Right.
So,
is that right?
So
I can't remember.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if they were all knockout tournaments at the time.
Right.
I'm not sure if the format for the GS Caltex Cup has changed over the years.
Yeah.
Let me see if Lee Chang-ho hasn't won it 4 times in a row. My apologies. He has won it 5 times though.
Yes.
But not in a row.
No. So
he never won more than 2 in a row. But he has won it 5 times. Yes.
Yes. I do believe Lee Chang-ho has won the Samsung Cup in the late 90s 3 times in a row. But all of these things stops at 3 or 4. So going to 5, winning a knockout tournament 5 times in a row, that's just, let's say, unprecedented. So it's just crazy achievement by Shin Jinseo.
Yeah. Some other strong ones that I saw in my research. Sakata Ayo, he won the NHK Cup.
Right.
4 times in over 5 tournaments. He won it 4 times.
Right.
And also Satoshi Yuki, the legendary Kensai Kien player, he also did the same thing. He won over 5 years. He won 4 of the 5 NHK Cups.
Right. But but no one's done it 5. Like Shin Jinseo.
No. I haven't seen anyone win 5 of these types of tournaments.
Yeah.
In a row.
Yeah. So that's crazy. Let's see if Shin Jinseo can make it 6 in a row next year. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, that would be crazy. That would be quite insane.
That will be a record that I imagine will be kept until the day I'm no longer on this earth. So we're jumping countries again. Now we've gone to Japan, Korea, and now we're coming back to China to look at they had 1 round of the JA League, round 9. Now, so if you recall, the first 8 rounds of JA League were held in a single place, and it was held over a period of 9 days. So it was just very intense. But I think from round 9 to 13, they wanted to do it home and away, just like before COVID. So if you were not an import, you have to actually travel to the city in which the team was based to play the games. So that's actually what happened in round 9. The round 9 is the first round that happened. So they're going to play this likely one round per week kind of thing for a while. So that's round 9, and round 9 was highly anticipated when the draw came out,
Oh, why is that?
And it's for good reasons, because as you can see here, we have Shin Jinseo versus Quzhou.
Oh wow, Shin Jinseo versus Quzhou.
Yeah.
I've been hoping for this.
Yeah.
Shin Jinseo versus Quzhou, the top, by many people's considerations, the top 2 players in the world.
Yep. Yes. So Shin Jinseo versus Quzhou. But obviously, that's not the only game in the round. There's some other interesting ones like Li Xuanhao played Nie Weiping. So both of these were highly informed players.
Oh, that's a huge one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Why is that one important?
Firstly, both of them are on 7 wins out of 8 in the JA League. And of course, Li Xuanhao has been in hot form recently. He, of course, won the domestic version of the Quzhou Lanke Cup. He also won the King of Kings. And, he's in such good form in the JA League. Of course, he made the Asian Games Chinese squad. So Li Xuanhao is just in hot form. Li Weiping, of course, also in hot form. He beat Shin Jinseo in the JA League and also had 7 wins out of 8. Now, another thing that was... there's a Chinese... Chinese social media post, blogger kind of person. He keeps track of the ratings points, the Chinese ratings points, in real time. So he just does the calculation in real time. And according to his calculations, Li Xuanhao is already number 2 in China, according to the official rating points. Like, if the official rating points were released today, Li Xuanhao would be 2nd. And because Quzhou has lost a few points in recent months, they are actually really close. So there's only 26 points between them. So maybe a couple of games that Quzhou loses, and if Li Xuanhao wins a couple more games, we could see Li Xuanhao taking over Quzhou as the new Chinese number 1 on the official ranking. That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy, because how long has Quzhou been official number 1 in China?
I think it's something like 40-something months. I can't remember the exact number, but it's been longer than Shin Jinseo has been number 1 in Korea.
It's definitely been longer than Shin Jinseo has been number 1.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's more than 40 months. I think it could be closer to 50 months.
I think it's like 45 months kind of thing. I can't recall exactly. And the last time, when Quzhou lost the number 1, he lost the number 1 spot to Nie Weiping, but I think that was only for like 1 month. So before that.
Okay, so there was 1 month. There was 1 month where he lost the world number. Where he lost the China number 1.
Yeah,
okay,
I think it was got overtaken by Nie Weiping. So so before that he was also holding the number 1 spot for a bit of time. So it's a bit like the Guli Kongjie era, where Guli holds the number 1 spot for quite a bit, but then every now and then Kongjie would just take number 1 from Guli, but for Quzhou is not like that. So apart from Nie Weiping, I can't remember any time where Quzhou has lost the number 1 spot. So it's been very consistently Chinese number 1 for a few years now. But he could be losing it. He could be losing it.
He could be on the way to losing it.
Yeah.
And that Li Junhao versus Li Qingcheng, those two, along with Fan Tingyu, are probably the 3 most informed Chinese players at the moment.
Yeah, 100%.
Another interesting one there I see is Li Qingcheng versus Park Chun-hwan.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that because if I'm not mistaken, there are 4 games in each JA League match, and one of them is a fast game.
Correct. Yeah.
And Li Qingcheng for Hangzhou is usually put on the fast board because of his prowess at it.
Yeah.
So is Park Jun-hwan playing a fast game this round?
If I remember correctly, yes, I think he was. Yes.
That's a very interesting matchup. I'm guessing that Shenzhen don't really have any fast game specialists.
I'm not 100% sure if there are any of them meant to be good at fast games, but yeah. I mean, their coach, Luo Shihe, is very good at fast games, but obviously...
But he doesn't actually play.
Yeah, unless you're desperate, you don't want to put out your coach, Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
I got to say, the Shin Jinseo versus Quzhou, it doesn't matter what form either player is in, Shin Jinseo versus Quzhou is going to be an epic matchup It's been an epic matchup since at least 2018.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Anyway, the game was very, very epic, but let's put it this way: it didn't go Koji's way. So Koji
No,
actually lost this one.
Koji lost.
Yes, Koji had
But
lost this one.
I would argue
Yeah.
that instead of Koji playing bad, Shin
Yeah.
Jinseo just played like a robot.
Yeah.
Flawless.
Yeah. Yeah.
I obviously I followed the game live, and it seemed like, just in terms of just how clinical Shin Jinseo was, it reminded me of the Nongshim Cup matchup this year.
Right.
Where, if you recall the Nongshim Cup matchup, Koji was made to feel so hopeless that he started speculating on his live stream whether Shin Jinseo was using AI.
Yeah.
That's just how hopeless he felt when playing that game, and I'm wondering if he felt sort of the same thing this time around, because Shin Jinseo just didn't seem to make a mistake. He was just flawless. Nothing that Koji tried seemed to work. Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's nothing much I want to say about the game because most of it is very, very technical. Now, I did read some. I did read some of the analysis of the games. Now, one of the things that they like to do to assess the quality of a game is to look at how often their moves coincide with fine art first choice moves. So obviously, fine art is the widely regarded as one of the strongest AI programs that are kind of being actively developed. It's the AI developed by Tencent. So it's the AI backing the Fox Go server. So yeah, they just did an analysis of this game. Now apparently, if I remember correctly, Shin Jinseo's moves coincided with fine art at around 72%. So that's actually quite high because on average, I think pros are just average about 50%, maybe 58% or something like that. So 72% is significantly higher than the average pro, right? But what was Koji's figure? The moves also coincided with fine art at a really high rate, more than the average pro at 68%. Normally, that would see you win the game, I believe. But versus Shin Jinseo, it just wasn't enough. So I guess in the Chinese social media, people really, didn't really rip into Koji for this one. They just
I would say just intuitively, I felt the same way. I felt that Koji didn't play badly.
Yeah,
it's just that there was nothing he could do really. Also want to point out the fact that here Koji is black. Shin Jinseo is white, and this is a Chinese game with 7.5 Komi.
Yeah,
and I do believe it's fairly widely considered that white is at an advantage.
Yeah, around 10% in terms of win rate, but according to AI. Yeah.
Yeah, so it already. I feel like I honestly feel like I wanted Shin Jinseo to have black in this game. Because I did feel that Shin Jinseo was in better form than Koji, and so if Shin Jinseo was black, it would sort of even it out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it's just random who gets black and who gets white, and
oh wow.
Who knows what would have happened if the colors were reversed? I believe that Shin Jinseo has only beaten Koji once with black under Chinese rules, and that was in a youth tournament.
Right.
So it would be good to see Shin Jinseo get black against Koji again, but just them playing each other at all is always a treat.
Yeah, but anyway, honestly, Koji didn't play bad. It was just Shin Jinseo was too good.
Yeah, he was able to rescue those loose stones at the top. Got those 4 loose stones, so he got some room in the center.
Yeah. Now, okay, the one thing I want to point out about this game was that at move 88, Shin Jinseo started playing these kind of moves, just taking some solid territory in the corner. That's usually when I start feeling nervous. Is my opponents start doing that. That tells me that they think they have enough points to win, which is exactly what Shin Jinseo is doing at move 88. So after this fighting, Shin Jinseo thought he was going to do it. I think according to AI, Shin Jinseo was ahead by about 7 something points or something. But I do believe that Quzhou managed to pull it back, according to AI, to within 2 points.
Yes. If you just stop there, sorry, if you go back to move 148. Yeah. So this was. So I think Shin Jinseo may have been ahead by either 2.5 or 4.5 points.
Right.
At this point.
Right.
So, for normal amateurs like me, that's a close game.
Yeah.
But for pros at this stage of the game, there simply may not be enough room left for tricks. And this is where Quzhou played a trick. And this is really what the AI said was essentially the only mistake of the game by either side.
Right.
This move here.
Yeah.
And I don't really consider this to be a mistake. I consider this to be desperation by Quzhou.
Yeah.
Like he probably thought this doesn't work, but nothing does.
Yeah.
So may as well try.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it seemed like he was trying to rescue all of those stones.
Yeah.
But the problem here is that Quzhou was already down to Byoyomi at this point. Shin Jinseo still had about 20 minutes.
Right.
He managed his time very well, and Shin Jinseo was very patient. He did not reply instantly here.
Yeah.
He spent several of the minutes that he still had.
Yeah.
And he came up with the perfect refutation.
Yeah.
And the game was over. And at this point, the game was over.
Yeah. Basically, this black group is not going to live. Shin Jinseo's read it out already. Basically.
Yeah, he's read it out. This black group in the bottom middle does not have 2 eyes. It cannot escape.
Yeah. So that's when Quzhou resigned. So, as I said, really people didn't really, blame Quzhou for anything, because I think they see that he actually tried, and it just wasn't. If Shin Jinseo performs at this level, basically, like maybe no other human player can beat him. Basically,
no, I think that this is some of the best in terms of in terms of the quality of the Go. This is some of the best I've seen. Like this, Again, this reminds me of the Nongshim Cup game where between Quzhou and Shin Jinseo, where it also seemed like Shin Jinseo played flawlessly, like so flawlessly that Quzhou was speculating on his live stream, like where did he go wrong? Like he made and he found 3 micro errors or something like that. And it seemed exactly like that. Like it seems like Shin Jinseo, this year when he gets the opportunity to play Quzhou, he makes sure he takes that opportunity.
So and the other commentary that I read was that they said that this commentary was made by a pro. So she mentioned that the way that Shin Jinseo played doesn't look like she's been trained by a human. Like it doesn't look like her teachers are the human. Like because he plays, his moves feels more AI than any other human player. So maybe that's basically a signature of maybe the generation of players to come. Their moves will look more and more like AI, not like the pro player that have been trained on traditional theory. So might be just a sign of things to come.
It's interesting when you say that though, because Shin Jinseo turned pro in 2012.
Right.
And in 2012 there was the concept of AI was completely foreign in terms of there was no overlap between AI and professional level study.
No.
And it wasn't really until 2016 that AI even started existing, and it probably wasn't until 2018 when AI could be used by professionals as incorporated into their study. But despite Shin Jinseo, having already 5 or 6 years of time as a professional, it seems like he's been able to adapt to the AI incorporation better than most.
I think Shin Jinseo's rise did coincide a little bit with your timeline there, with in around 2018 when AI is widely available as a professional studying tool.
Well, that was when he won his first GS Caltex Cup.
Right. I think he does put a lot of work into studying AI, I guess. So I mean, it kind of shows.
We've discussed before in previous podcasts how Li Junhao, when he made that wedge, how he used AI to study it, and he seemed to know all the intricacies about it.
Yeah.
And Li Junhao is like 5 years older than Shin Jinseo.
Yeah.
He's been a pro for longer than Shin Jinseo.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like some pros have just really been able to incorporate the AI well. Like they're not being rigid in their training methods and being stoic and saying, no, this is how I train, this is how I became a good professional, I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah.
They've said, well, AI is the way forward. I'm gonna start incorporating it.
Yeah.
They've been able to do it, and credit to them.
Yeah. I guess we just see more and more of this. So yeah, it's very, very interesting.
I did hear an interview from Quzhou. He said he didn't enjoy playing on the remote screens,
right,
on a desk. He said he'd rather go on a board in a luxury car.
Right. Is that right?
Yeah.
And do you have any?
Well, actually, no. I completely made that up. That interview never happened. But
yeah.
But Quzhou has played Go in a luxury car.
Yeah. So that's what we see. That's what we see over here. He's in a couple of like commercials for this car brand, which I believe it's like an electric car. That's coming out in China. So this is him playing Go.
It seems like he's behind a little bit there.
Oh yeah, it looks like a 9-stone handicap as well to me.
Interesting that they put a 9-stone handicap game in a commercial. Like, why not just put a normal game? But
oh wow,
maybe handicap games are popular in China. But I guess the whole idea is that the car is so spacious you can play a game of Go in it.
I think that was the idea. I think that was the idea. And this is Quzhou looking dashing for this car brand in the, I believe they're maybe just the news conference or something for the car unveiling. And this is Quzhou, and apparently the other invited guest was a magician, so go figure. And also, after Quzhou lost the game, he decided to have some burger. So this is Quzhou posting about his burger, and I guess the social media was saying, well, at least you still have a good appetite, so after losing to Shin Jinseo. So that was,
I hope that social media weren't slagging him off, because like I said, he did play. I felt he played solidly.
Yeah. No, I think most of the social media were pretty understanding. Given the Shin Jinseo's performance, I guess you can't really blame Quzhou there. I think
yeah.
And Quzhou
Do we have any? Let's have a look at some other games. What happened in the Li Junhao Li Weiping game?
Oh yeah, let's look at that. So Li Junhao Li Weiping would be down at the Chongqing and versus Shanghai. So did I just skip over that? Chongqing.
I think you just skipped over it.
Chongqing, Shanghai. So Li Junhao won that game. So Li Junhao.
So Li Weiping loses a game on the main board.
Yeah, loses a game on the main board to Li Junhao. But as I mentioned, Li Junhao is like in real time Chinese number 2. So
yeah. There's no shame in losing to Li Junhao.
Yeah, it could have gone either way, I guess. But
and the Li Qingcheng game.
Li Qingcheng.
What happened in Li Qingcheng versus Park Junhwan?
Li Qingcheng just he was behind, but he tricked Park Junhwan and he just won out. So Li Qingcheng won that one.
I think Li Qingcheng, that puts him at 8 wins in 9 rounds.
Yeah, I think Li Qingcheng, Li Junhao would be, and Chen Xian would be the only 3 players on 8 wins out of 9.
Did Chen Xian win as well?
Yes, he did. So he won.
Yes, so I believe that those 3 and Li Weiping were the only players on just 1 loss.
Yeah. And
obviously Li Weiping lost to Li Junhao.
Yeah.
So 3 players remain on 1 loss. That's quite insane for Hangzhou. Like you've got Shin Jinseo, and then you've got Li Qingcheng who wins 8 of his first 9 games. I mean, that's almost unbeatable.
Yeah. So Li Qingcheng's doing quite well. Like Shaker lost, Len Xiao won, so it was very good win.
Oh wow! So Shenzhen, with Koja and Park Jun-hwan didn't even get a point.
No, they didn't get a point. So because Park Jun-hwan and Koja both lost,
and Shi Wei lost as well.
Yeah, Shi Wei lost as well. So
wow, that's 14 world titles. That's 14 world majors between those 3.
Yeah, but they couldn't get a win. Couldn't get a win. So I do believe another interesting result is that Wang Xinghao beat Yang Dingxin. So that's another good win for the youngster.
Oh, that's a big one. Wang Xinghao beating Yang Dingxin.
Yeah, that's a big one. I can't remember if they put out Mi Yuting and what happened there. Yeah, Mi Yuting. Oh, they did put out Mi Yuting. Oh, okay, Mi Yuting actually beat Fan Tingyu this round.
Mi Yuting beat Fan Tingyu. Wow, that's a big result. That's a very big result.
That's a big result. So Mi Yuting's obviously hasn't had the best of records.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I also just noticed Zhou Chenyu beat Tu Xiaoyu, lost to Tu Xiaoyu.
Yes.
How many wins is Zhou Chenyu on now?
Zhou Chenyu, let's just check where he's at.
I think he's only won 4 games.
He might be a bit of an underperformer. He might be on 4. Yeah, he was on 4 games.
Wow, 4 wins, 5 losses. That's actually quite surprising because Zhou Chenyu is a very consistent player.
Yeah, so he's on the top 10 underperformer list so far, unfortunately. So actually, there's some really interesting players on the top 10 underperformers. So of course, there's Kim Ji-sok and Lee Ji-hoon. They're the 2 Korean.
Yeah, neither of them played this round.
Yeah. So well, I mean, for good reasons. I mean, they're like, they're like, wow. I mean, they're like only won 1 game out of 7. Like that's like Shibano's kind of performance in the J League. Jeez. And then you got your Kerche and number 3.
Wow, Koje with 4 wins and 5 losses. That is not something I expected to see.
No, I mean he did lose to Shin Jinseo, so but still that's
still only 1 loss.
Yeah, that's a massive underperformance for Koje. So bad luck to Shenzhen after splashing out the cash. Yeah.
Tong Mengcheng, he's a bit of a veteran. Surprising to see him so low.
Yeah, he's a bit there.
Kim Young-hoon, he won.
Yeah.
He at least won this round.
Yeah.
So he's moved up. He's moved up a little bit.
Yeah, but still 3 out of 9 is not flash. Let's put it this way. Yeah.
No, he needs to win more games.
Yeah.
And Cao Zhao Yang.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably won't hear about him again this podcast for sure.
Now we might be. So let's keep in mind that this.
I'm sure we won't.
Yeah,
but
all right,
I mean, one win, 5 losses. That's not good.
Yeah. So just remember this name.
And then the overperformers here. So I've noticed that I think Chen Yunong, I think his rating has been corrected.
Yes, he's got a massive ratings upgrade, so he's no longer,
Yes, I think that's a bit closer to.
But he's still overperformed. Yes.
No, yeah, I would agree. He's still overperforming, but it wasn't as crazy as before. Yeah. And I've noticed that Jia Hao has moved outside the top 10.
Yeah,
I'm guessing he got a ratings upgrade as well.
Yeah. Jia Hao's doing pretty well actually this J League.
But Chen Jian and Li Qingcheng, just absolute weapons for their teams.
Yeah. So apparently Mi Yuting as the main, because he plays the main player. As a main player, I do believe he's got about like a 40% or maybe even 30% win rate right now, like somewhere around 30-40%. So not super flash, but their team Jiangsu is like second on the table. Of course, your Dang Yifei performed pretty well. Li Weiqing, of course, we talked about that. Zhou Ruiyang had a pretty
what a blast from the past that is.
Yeah, he had a pretty terrible season last season. So this year he was only put out 5 times, but he did reasonably well. He won 3 games, so that's all right. So let's look at the top of the win stats. So we talked about this. Li Chunhao, Li Qincheng, Chen Xian are the only 3 players on 8 wins. No one's on a perfect record. Shin Jinseo, it's actually not doing so bad, right? 5 out of 7 lost to only 2 players so far.
5 out of 7, and now he's got some quality wins as well. Like he just beat Quzhou.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get more quality than that, regardless of his form.
Yeah.
And he's also beaten Dang Yifei, who's having a great Jar League.
Yeah. So Shin Jinseo might be coming back. Yeah. Wang Xinghao's doing pretty well, 6 out of 9. So
yeah, and you've got Ding Hao, Guji Hao, Sheke.
Yeah.
Of course, Fan Ting Yu there as well. Park Jun Wan. He's still doing all right despite his loss to Li Qingcheng.
Yep.
I mean, all of these are fairly familiar names, really.
Yeah.
Like, of this top 15, probably Chen Zhan is the least known.
Yeah. People were really surprised that he got 9 wins. But we shall see. We'll look at his performance later on. So that's it. And to the
who's winning? Which team's winning?
Yeah, to the tables. We have Hangzhou, the Juggernaut.
Yeah, that's Shin Jinseo's team.
That's Shin Jinseo's team on 22 points. They expected to finish on 36 points. So if what they're doing continues, they are likely to finish champions.
Yeah, they're almost guaranteed to finish top 2.
Yeah.
Which I think gets you through to the second last round of the playoffs, if the playoffs are the same as last year.
Now remember, you have to be in the top 8 to make the playoff for a chance to play in the for the title. For the title basically. And Shenzhen, after splashing out the cash, is sitting 8th barely. So
that's
barely
crazy.
Top 8. So
that's crazy. I picked them to win the regular season.
Yeah.
I'm even more confident now that I was wrong in that pick. I mean, they're already 8 points behind Hangzhou. They're not going to make that up. That's quite disappointing because they have a very deep team. None of their 4 boards are weak.
Yeah.
And to only have 14 points is, I think that's underperforming. Yeah.
It would be bigger news if they actually fail to make the top 8. That would be a disaster.
Because that would be crazy. Because I believe the bottom 8, I believe all of them go into the relegation battle.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So I mean, not that Quzhou hasn't been there before. Twice, 2 years prior, he was in Team Beijing, and that team was in the bottom 8. But back then, like basically, Quzhou was the only strong player in the team. The other 3 were, let's say, not really that performing up to standard. So
yeah, this is not that. It's not the case this year. This is
so. Let's move on from the Jar League now. While staying in China, we have another big one. But of course, this is I put it here because it's not a official, it's an official comp, but it's not a comp proper yet. It's the first Quzhou Lanke Cup prelim. So this is the international version of the Quzhou Lanke Cup, which basically is not the domestic version one, which Li Xuanhao won. So and that's why it's also the first, which is a bit confusing to a degree, but yeah, it's the international version of the cup. So it's played in I can't remember the Chinese city in which this is played, but it's attended by about 200 something Chinese players. It's divided into 10 groups, and it's a knockout in each of the groups over 5 rounds. Of course, because there's not 320 players, because you need 32 players to have a 5-round knockout where every player plays 5 rounds. If you have less than that, some player basically don't have to play in the first round. They get seeded directly into round 2. So they only have to play 4 rounds. But it's 10 groups, 5 rounds. Some player only have to play 4 rounds.
Essentially, these are the Chinese qualifiers for the Quzhou Lanke International Cup.
Correct. Now, Li Chuanhao, by winning the domestic version of Quzhou Lanke Cup, it basically has earned a spot. Now the other seeds are Yang Dingxin, Gu Zihao, and Ding Hao. So these 4 players are already qualified.
There are 4 seeds. There are 4 Chinese seeds, and then a further 10 will earn a spot through the qualifiers.
Yes. Now, one thing that's very interesting is that Quzhou did not play in the prelim. And if you listen to the seeds that I mentioned, Quzhou is also not one of the seeds, which I think we have mentioned before.
Right. Yes.
So, so basically, Quzhou has already been offered the wild card, and Quzhou will be joining the competition as the wild card, which is a bit crazy.
I wanted to quickly elaborate on that because we did touch on this last week.
Yeah.
So typically, in an international tournament, each federation will be assigned a certain number of seeds and a certain number of qualifying spots.
Right.
And the way that the seeds work are typically the seeds are announced first, and the federation just, picks players.
Yeah.
Based on whatever criteria that federation decides to use.
Yeah.
And those players will automatically be invited to the tournament.
Yeah.
They don't have to play.
Yeah.
And I think some people were commenting on this in the last podcast when we discussed it, saying, yes, the Chinese seeds have already been announced, which makes perfect sense. The seeds should be announced before the qualifiers because the whole point is that they're seeds. They don't need to qualify.
Yeah.
And then typically the qualifiers are played.
Yeah.
And then once they're finished, you have the qualifiers. And then sometimes an international tournament will have 1 or 2 wild cards.
Yeah.
And they're typically selected by the sponsor or by the host country.
Yeah.
And the idea, most of the time, the wild card is announced after the qualifiers have been determined.
That's right.
And it's essentially a lucky loser type of situation where it's someone who wasn't able to qualify is given a wild card. Like one example was, for instance, I believe Kang Dong-yoon got a wild card into this year's LG Cup.
Yeah.
Choi Jong in the past has gotten a wild card to the LG Cup.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
But typically, those players will have entered the qualifiers. They've lost, so they didn't end up qualifying, and then they were offered the wild card.
Yeah. In
this case, that's not what happened. The wild card was basically offered to Quzhou.
Yeah.
After it was. After the seed, I guess after the seeds had been announced and Quzhou wasn't a seed.
Yeah.
And they offered the wild card to Quzhou before the qualifiers even started.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit surprised at that. Essentially to me, that makes the wild card no different to a seed.
Right, yeah.
It's essentially just a 5th seed for China.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it I would say that may be unprecedented in Go. I don't know if it's unprecedented in sports. I believe in tennis, for the tennis majors, I believe the wild cards are announced before. The wild cards may be announced before the qualifiers in tennis.
Right.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
But I know in tennis majors they have seeds, qualifiers, and wild cards.
Yeah.
I don't know if the wild cards are announced before the qualifiers or after, but. Yeah, it just seemed weird to me that they gave the wildcard spot before the qualifiers were even held. To me, it would make more sense to just have, essentially, you can essentially decide that if Quzhou didn't fail to qualify, then you just give him the wildcard. I mean, to me, that's perfectly fine, but you would still have him play in the qualifiers.
Right.
Firstly, because it's more fair to everyone, and secondly, because who doesn't want to see Quzhou play Weiqi, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For the fans.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so I thought it was a bit of a strange decision by the sponsors of the tournament or the CWA or whoever was in charge of that.
Yeah.
But in my mind, if Quzhou was offered the wild card before the qualifiers, then in my mind, it's perfectly sensible for him to not play in the qualifiers.
Right.
Yeah. I don't blame Quzhou at all for not playing in the qualifiers if he was already offered the wild card.
Yeah.
It just seemed a bit strange to me that the wild card would be announced before the qualifiers. But the sponsors can do whatever they want.
I guess so. It's
and on the, I guess, to play devil's advocate, my own devil's advocate, Quzhou not playing in the qualifiers means that whichever group he would have been in now they have better chances of qualifying because they don't have to play Quzhou.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. Imagine if someone Fanting Yu was knocked out by Quzhou.
Yeah.
But obviously Fanting Yu also didn't make it. Let's put it this way. Okay. Okay. By the way, the picture that you see on screen right now on the right here, that's Cao Xiaoyang. So you may remember his name being mentioned in the
he was 10, one of the underperformers in
top
Jar
10
League.
Underperformers. Yes, that's right. So yeah, that's how he looks like.
Can you just move over a couple of picks?
Yeah.
I just noticed something. Keep going.
Yeah.
I think it was near the end actually.
Right.
Well, these are oh man, I recognize half of these players now.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you would recognize even more, I think. Yeah, this one. No,
Yeah.
Go back.
Yeah, this one.
That guy on the left. Don't you think that he looks a little bit like Quzhou? A little bit?
Yeah, if you squint enough, yes, but that's Liao Yunhe, yes.
On the left, that's Liao Yunhe.
Yeah, that's Liao Yunhe, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
It's definitely not Quzhou, by the way.
No,
As we said, Quzhou wasn't playing.
No, Quzhou
But
wasn't.
We've seen these picks, credit to anyone who can recognize all of the players in these picks.
Yeah.
But do we have results?
Yes, we do have results. Now I can't remember where we were up to last time we had the podcast. We might have covered the first 3 rounds already. I do remember mentioning that Wang Xinghao was eliminated, and that
Yes, and I believe there was only one. I think we mentioned there was only one woman left.
Yeah. So that's this lady, Pan Yang. She was the only woman left after 3 rounds. So in round 4, I believe she played Xu Jiayang, which is obviously a top 20 player in China, and unfortunately she didn't make it. She lost.
So she lost, right?
Yeah. So this is Tang Weixing. I don't know what he's doing. Just maybe just
He's trying to psych out his opponent here.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just got too hot for him.
Yeah, but I believe we still had. Wait, let me see if I can find it on the calendar. So the Quzhou Lanke Cup prelim finished on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we recorded the podcast on the Saturday, so we would have had maybe 3 rounds left.
Right.
So I think maybe should we just announce who the qualifiers are, because the prelims have finished, so maybe we should announce the 10 qualifiers.
Yes. So the 10 qualifiers are Tang Weixing, Zhang Weijie, Tan Xiao, Xie Hao, that's a typo there, Tao Xingran. Oh, how come it's Tan Xiao again? Maybe it just typed it wrong. And you see this name, Cao Xiaoyang.
Oh wow, Cao Xiaoyang, the 1 out of 6 Jar League player qualified for the Quzhou Lanke International. Wow.
Yes, that's crazy.
That's crazy, yeah.
And your Zhao Chen Yu qualified.
Another Jar League underperformer.
Yep, Li Qingzhen qualified. Lin
Definitely
Xiao.
not a Jar League underperformer there.
Yeah. Lin Xiao and Li Weiqing. So these are the 10.
Honestly, all of those names are quite well known, apart from Cao Xiaoyang.
That's
really.
right. That's right.
For those familiar with the Chinese professional Weiqi scene.
Yeah. So let's look at some notable exits. Obviously, you may notice that Mi Yuting's name's not there.
Yes.
Fan Tingyu's name's not there. So both
Fan Tingyu's probably the biggest surprise. Yeah. Who did he lose to? Did he?
Fan Tingyu, I think he lost to I can't remember who it was.
No, I don't remember. Yeah. I'm thinking about his loss in the JAR League, not in this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he lost to He Yuhan.
He Yuhan. He's also a JAR League player.
Yeah, I do believe so. But it was basically he was leading by a lot, and then he decides, maybe the game has gone too easy, and then he decides to play some moves, and just his dragon didn't get killed, but he lost a lot during the trying to save his dragon. So, but yeah, it was a good game for him. And then Mi Yuting, of course, got exit. Deng Yifei got knocked out.
Deng Yifei. Torjashi has been in good form. It doesn't look like he was able to qualify though.
No, Torjashi was also out. The other big scat was Wang Xinghao. He didn't make it.
Yes. And I believe that Zhu Zhaoyang, he lost to Jiang Weiji in the final round.
Oh, yeah, well, too bad.
I mean, it was either going to be Zhu Zhaoyang or Jiang Weiji that was going to miss out. So.
Yeah. It's one of them. So the groups are really, really tough by the time it got to the semi-finals.
I mean, the thing is, you can only pick 10, and you can see here, as I'm saying, 9 of these players are quality players. All of these players have played in World Majors before, but 9 of them, are very familiar names, and we're already listing a ton of familiar names, like at least half a dozen that didn't qualify. So some of them were never going to, at least some really strong players weren't going to qualify.
Yeah. I mean, the other big names that got knocked out, of course, is Shaker. He just didn't make it. He lost to a Showdown, and the Showdown didn't even make it. I believe.
The Showdown. Can we at least mention the Showdown's name, because beating Shaker is pretty big.
Yes, and I think his name. Zhou Ziyi. I believe it's Zhou Ziyi.
Zhou Ziyi. Yes. Well, maybe we should keep an eye out on that name.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before. I think Tang Weixin has some really good thing to say about Zhou Ziyi after his game with Shaker. He said if he didn't this is not an over performance. He can see Zhou winning international titles, because that's just his game was just that good. And Shaker honestly didn't have that many chances in that game. So imagine beating Shaker, an international finalist, twice finalist, a 9 Dan, and just beating him, just as part of your normal day. So so great. Another big name exit was Huang Yunsong. Obviously, Huang Yunsong has won domestic competitions in China.
He won the Kiriyama, the Aegon Cup or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. So I think these are the big name exits.
Yeah, Zhao. There's no youth. There's no really young players. I mean, Liao Wanhe not there.
Yeah.
Zhao Yu not there.
Yeah.
Of course, no women there. Shi Wei didn't qualify.
No.
I believe Shi Wei was in the final round as well. I don't remember who. I don't remember who he lost to.
Yeah, I think he was in the final round. I think he lost to.
Did he lose to Tang Weijin? I really don't know.
I will have it. I think he lost to Xie Hao in the final round. Yeah.
Xie Hao. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I can believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but. After during the comp, there were a lot of big surprises. Of course, Mi Yuting, all of those people being knocked out, these were big surprises. But by the end, I think the list doesn't look that surprising, even though but except for one person who's maybe not
really that one's a little bit surprising. Never would have expected that one. But if you told me those other 9 would qualify, that doesn't really surprise me at all.
Yeah,
almost all of these, many of these players not only have been in World Majors, they've actually won World Majors.
Yeah.
I mean, I think out of those, the ones that haven't made a semi-final, Li Weiqing, Li Qingcheng, and Chao Zhaoyang.
Right.
And I don't think Li Junhao has made a semi-final. No, Li Junhao has made a semi-final, actually.
Yes.
But not Li Weiqing or Li Qingcheng. Those may be surprising, but they haven't.
Yeah.
Has Tao... I'll just check if Tao Xinran has made a semi-final in a world major.
Yeah.
And Ding Hao has not made a semi-final.
Right, no.
So that's a very short list. That's like three of those players.
Yeah.
No, four of those players out of 15 have not made a semi-final.
Yeah. So
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's very, very, very strong field. I mean, getting through the qualifiers would be tough. I can't recall if Japan or Korea or Taiwan have had their list of players participating in the Lanke Cup announced. I don't believe so.
I can guarantee you that Korea have not even started the qualifiers.
Right.
And they probably haven't announced the seeds.
Right.
I can also guarantee you that Shin Jinseo will be a seed.
Yes.
I believe the Quzhou Lanke Cup proper is in December, so it's very likely that the Korean qualifiers will not be happening for a while.
Yeah.
And I very, very much doubt that the Japanese team has been announced. You can assume, and again, we've got no idea who the seeds would even be.
Yeah.
Like I said, like Iyama may defend the Meijin and win more titles. That doesn't mean he's going to participate in the Quzhou Lanke International, because at this point it comes down to, as we've mentioned before, it comes down to scheduling.
Yeah.
When it comes to Japan, if the Quzhou Lanke Cup clashes with one of the major titles, then whoever's participating in that major title in Japan is not going to be playing.
Yeah. So Japan's a bit of a odd one out, but and I do believe there will be one player from Europe and one player from North America, so that's good to see.
Yes. Regarding Europe, would Ilya Shikshin be a possibility, or is he not eligible anymore?
I really don't know. I guess I have to check with the European Go Federation. I believe that would be the organization that would be getting a player out.
It seems to me that it would be unlikely, considering he wasn't able to participate in the European Championship.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame, I guess. But
of course, it would be even better if the whole situation involving the war and the invasion was resolved by then. But but that's very wishful thinking, and not something I have any knowledge about.
Yeah,
but I very much doubt that any other country has announced their selections, and I don't believe they plan to for at least a couple more months.
Yeah. The comp is only taking place in December, and hopefully the COVID situation doesn't suddenly take another bad turn in China and make that impossible.
Right. Are they planning to have this as face-to-face for everyone?
I'm really not sure. They might make an exception for international players. Maybe domestic players, they wanted it to be in person, and I think for the simple reason that this tournament, like a lot of Weiqi tournaments now, are actually sponsored by the local government of Quzhou, so that's why you see their name on there. It's kind of like their branding. So they really want the players to come to the place to play there, because it's also a little bit of a like promotion activity for the city. So I imagine they would really want the players to be there in person. Of course, if you're an international player and there's some international travel restrictions, they might make an exception for that and just say maybe for now don't travel. But yeah. But as you can see, a lot of the Chinese competitions are doing it. They're playing it in person already. So yeah. So let's see. Now staying in China, but going a little bit international, and this is probably the last big topic of the week, which is the Nie Weiping Cup. That's going to happen, when I say tomorrow, but by the time you listen to this podcast, it's probably already happening. So it's the Nie Weiping Cup, which is the fourth Nie Weiping Cup, which is the under-20s tournament, international tournament. And these are the participants.
So how does this work? What's this tournament about?
Well, this tournament is a knockout tournament of 16 players. And I do believe China has 7 players. And Japan has 3, Korea has 3, and Taiwan has 2. And there's 1 wild card. And the wild card has gone to a Chinese player. So therefore, China has 8 players in this tournament. And these are the players. I don't believe the draw has come out yet. They might actually literally do the draw in the morning. So we won't know what the draw is. But I do think that in general, they do tend to do it in such a way that players from the same country do not meet, if possible. So, actually, the draw is not out yet. No, I just got too excited when I saw the news item, but the draw is not out yet. So, but these are the players. So it's a very strong field from China. So you got your Tu Xiaoyu, Jin Yucheng, and Wang Xinghao. All 3 are players in the Jar League. Even players that aren't in the Jar League, they're also obviously very strong. And also you have the Zhou Hongyu, Zheng Zaixiang, Wang Chunhui, I believe is also in the Jar League. Zheng Zaixiang, I can't remember if he's in the Jar League, but I do believe he knocked out a very strong player. I think Zheng Zaixiang is also in the Jar League, and he knocked out Tang Yifei, which is his teammate in Chengdu. So a very, very strong field from China. Japan, which I'm looking forward to. I see this name again, Fukuoka Kotaro. I do.
We recall Fukuoka Kotaro.
Yeah.
The runner-up in the Globus Cup.
Yes.
Can I just quickly ask?
Yeah.
What are the differences between the Nie Weiping? Actually, I'll ask it after you go through the rest of the players.
All right. Okay. The other 2 Japanese players, I can't say I've heard of them. But I do believe one of them has knocked out Nakamura Sumire. But
I do believe that the other 2 Japanese players were they were part of a youth team competition with Sumire.
Right.
Where they finished 4th, and there was a photo taken of them after they finished 4th with their 4th place prize.
Right.
Which was very popular on the Pro Weiqi subreddit.
Yes. Maybe it was the one where they were, had a sullen look on their face.
Yes. Yes, I believe it was because they finished 4th in that team event, but there were only 4 teams.
Yeah. Right. So they have been there, done that before. But yeah. Anyway, obviously they're still very strong players. They're rated above 3,000. So, but I don't see them really challenging.
Oh no, they're definitely very strong players, and I'm pretty sure they were both in the Globus Cup as well. But
right. But I don't really see them challenging the top Chinese players because, just look at the rating. The Chinese players, the strongest ones are rated in the 3.4s, 3.5s, but they're strong, but they are rated in the 3,000s, 3.1s, so not really going to be a big challenge. Now look at Korea. Big things were expected of Moon Min-jun, but nothing has happened with him so far. But again, we got Moon Min-jun, and we see his name again, Lee Yun. We've seen him before, I believe, in the Globus Cup.
He was in the Globus Cup. He was the only Korean to make the quarterfinals of the recent Globus Cup.
Right, yes. And we got Kwon Hyo-jin, which is I'm not sure if this is the most canonical translation.
It's Kwon Hyo-jin. If you recall, he was in we discussed him. He was the finalist of the recent Ha Chang-suk gifted tournament.
Right.
He lost to Kim Byun-seo.
Yeah, that's right.
But somehow, he ended up qualifying for this over Kim. I'm not sure if Kim Byun-seo was even in the qualifiers.
Right.
For this tournament, they had a very minimal qualifying group. But I believe Kwon Ho-jin was the one that ended up qualifying, whereas Moon Min-jung and Lee Yun were both seeds. They were both selected directly. Right.
And then from Taiwan, you got Lai Junfu. We met him before. He played in the Globus Cup and also the other international tournament representing Quzhou Mountain Cup. He didn't progress past the first round in the Quzhou, but still, obviously a very strong player from Taiwan. And Xu Jing'en, you often see him if you follow Taiwanese games, but again, I don't expect them to really seriously challenge the top Chinese players. Okay, now I just checked the news. the draw is out. So they have done the draw not long ago. So this is them doing the draw. I want to contact his hairstylist. So yeah, so they just done the draw, and I have no idea what's happened. So they just so the draw is this. I'll just read it out because it's in Chinese, so it's not. Unless you can read it, you'll not understand it. So it's Wang Xinghao versus Lai Junfu.
That's a big one because Wang Xinghao is basically the number 1 junior in China.
Yeah.
Lai Junfu is the number 1 junior in Taiwan. That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. Second pairing is Li Haotong versus Li Yun. So.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
I think Jin Yucheng said something like Li Haotong is basically the same class as him. So, and of course, Jin Yucheng has a 50% win rate in the JA League. So Li Haotong is definitely a very, very strong player. It's just that he hasn't had the chance to play in the JA League as much, unlike Jin Yucheng. So,
whose team is Li Haotong in?
I can't remember. It might be Shanghai or something.
It's not Hangzhou, is it?
It might be. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it might be Hangzhou because he got put out for some of the games.
Yeah, so no wonder he's not playing in the
Yeah. Wow. Tough luck, I guess.
Tough, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got your Zheng Zaixiang versus Xu Jing'en, Wang Chunhui versus Moon Minjun, Jin Yucheng versus Fukuoka Kotaro. So if Fukuoka can...
That's a big one. That's a big one.
If Fukuoka can overcome Jin, then he's definitely got huge potential because
he's already got huge potential. That's going to be a cracker of a game.
Yeah. Because Fukuoka obviously beat Tu Xiaoyu at least twice that I can remember. So yeah, he's beaten JA League players before. So looking forward to that one. Zhang Baiqing versus this Japanese player whose name I kind of forgot. It's either Sakayuki. No, that's Sakayuki. Yes, that's Sakayuki, because the other person is Miura Taro, and I recognize Taro, which is next. So its next one is Zhou Hongyu versus Miura Taro. So that's Taro.
Oh, I favor Zhou Hongyu in that one.
Yeah, even by ratings points. So, and then the last one, of course, is Tu Xiaoyu versus what's his name? Gyun Huijin. Yeah. So that's it. So that's your matchups.
Oh, and they do redraws after each round.
Yeah, it looks like it because I think they wanted to do it in such a way that players from the same country don't meet if possible.
If possible, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully it doesn't turn into another Quzhou Mountains Cup where there's like 7 Koreans progressing to the next round. So,
but in this case, it would be 7 Chinese.
Yeah, or 8. That would be a disaster, I think, for this kind of competition.
But so I just want to So my question is, this is a youth tournament.
Yeah.
How is this different from the Globus Cup? So I wanted to because when this was first announced, it seemed to me my first thought was, well, this is just Globus Cup, a second Globus Cup.
Yeah.
But so I did want to discuss a little bit the differences.
Yes.
Because there are some significant differences.
Yes. Now. Keep going.
So first off, let's go on to some similarities. The Globus Cup happens over a single weekend.
Yeah.
And I believe this also happens over a single weekend.
Well, actually, no. Only the first 2 rounds are played this weekend. From the semi-final onwards, they're gonna set another date. That's as far as I know. Yes.
That's right. Only the first 2 rounds. That's right. They had to delay it because of COVID, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I believe that's what the Neon Kean website said. But the first 2 rounds are played this weekend.
Yeah.
I believe they're both played on the Saturday then.
Yeah. Yes. And yes, that's right. They're not over 2 days. I believe it's just morning, afternoon.
Yes.
And I do believe they wanted to, from the semi-final, they wanted the Chinese players to play in Chengdu. So in person. So and
that's probably why they delayed the semi-finals.
Right.
Because of COVID.
Time is not yet set. So they don't know when they're going to do that. All right.
So in the Globus Cup, the first
there are 16 players, just like in this.
Yeah.
But in the Globus Cup, half of the players are Japanese, because it's a Japanese hosted tournament. Here it's a Chinese hosted tournament, so half the players are Chinese.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The Globus Cup also features, a player from Europe, a player from North America, and a player from Oceania. That's where we first heard about Kevin Yang.
Yeah.
In this tournament, there's only players from the 4 major Go regions.
Correct.
China, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan.
Yeah. In
the Globus Cup, they have 16 players split into 4 groups of 4.
Yeah.
And the first half of the tournament is double elimination.
Yeah.
So those 4 players are reduced to 2, but everyone gets to play at least 2 games.
Yeah.
And then the second half of the tournament is, there's 8 players left and it's just a knockout.
Yeah.
In this Nie Weiping Cup, it's more traditional. It's just a knockout from the start, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The biggest difference, though, is that both of these. Well, the Nie Weiping Cup is advertised as a fast tournament. I believe that's what the Pro Weiqi Post says, but it's very different time control of Globus Cup. I believe the Globus Cup was 30 seconds a move.
Yeah.
And you have 10 1-minute Byoyomis. I believe that was the time control.
Right.
There may have been some initial time, but I don't. I'm just going to quickly check. I don't believe that was the case.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, Globus Cup.
But the Nie Weiping Cup, yes, I think.
No, it was you only get 30 seconds a move.
Yeah.
But you get 10 1-minute Byoyomis.
Yeah.
That's the Globus Cup.
Yeah.
The Nie Weiping Cup, it's 1 hour main time, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's 1 hour main time and 3 30-second Byoyomis.
That's right.
Now, 1 hour main time, in Japan that may be considered a fast tournament, but it's very, very different from Globus Cup timing, which is just 30 seconds a move. Yeah, and this is more main time than the Quzhou Mountains Cup, and it's the same main time as the GS Caltex Cup. And if you recall, in the GS Caltex Cup final, neither player ever got to Byoyomi. So,
right,
it's definitely different time controls, and some of the players who may struggle at the super fast times may be able to do a little bit better in this tournament.
Yes, let's hope so. Yes. And of course, it's Chinese rules, so equivalent of 7.5 komi, equivalent of 7.5 komi.
7.5 komi with Chinese rules, yes.
And I did flippantly said in some forums that it's basically free money for Wang Xinghao, but actually looking at the field, it's not that easy.
No, I wouldn't call it free money for Wang Xinghao. That would be like saying that the GS Caltex Cup is free money for Shin Jinseo, or the LG Cup is free money for Shin Jinseo. He's not. Wang Xinghao is not guaranteed to win it. I would call him the favorite, and I predict that he will win it.
Yeah.
But I don't think this tournament was created just to give money to Wang Xinghao.
No.
They could do a much better job, like actually having more domestic Chinese tournaments.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Wang Xinghao's a good player as well. It's not like he doesn't deserve, the accolades that he gets. I believe we've mentioned before, he has beaten Shin Jinseo in a final.
Yeah.
It wasn't an official. It was an online competition. It was not an official professional game.
Yeah.
But it did have a lot of prize money.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and I believe that was earlier this year. So he's a good player, and he hasn't gotten any. He hasn't stagnated like Moon Min-jung has.
That's right.
He's very much still growing. He's got a fairly good record this year in JAR League. He had a good record last year in JAR League. He unfortunately didn't qualify for the Quzhou Lanke International. He performed relatively poorly there, but he's still very much a highly touted prospect.
Yeah.
I still think that he has the potential to win a world major in his career. Huge potential.
Oh,
and I'm very excited to see him play.
Yeah, 100%.
I do also want to say, I believe that the Korean contingent, Korea have had strong youth players for a long time now.
Yeah.
Obviously, from 2013 to 2018, they had Shin Jinseo, like Shin Minjun, Byun Sangil. I mean, it doesn't get much stronger than that.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of the weaker Korean contingents.
Right.
And I would say that it's not hopeless for Korea. Korea have some very exciting young players. They've got Kim Byun-seo. They've got Kim Yoon-ji. I mean, you can even throw in Jong Yoo-jin, who we've already seen has beaten some very strong players. Korea have some good prospects. It's just that right now, I think they're in a little bit of a weak point, a weaker generation.
Yeah, 100%. Now, this is unrelated to Go, but I did read a report recently that Korea now has like one of the lowest birth rates. I do believe the birth rate is like 0.76 or something ridiculously low like that. And I believe the replacement rate for a human to keep the population stable is 2.1. So they're like at 0.78 or 0.8 or something. That's incredibly low. And that means there's roughly 260,000 new Koreans being born every year. And this number might go down further. So the chances of finding another genius within a much smaller pool of newborns, you would imagine would be decreasing. And I don't know if it's going to get harder and harder to find the next Shin Jinseo in Korea just due to the population.
Well, who knows? I mean, there's lots of variables. Birth rate's not the only factor you have to consider. I mean, you don't want overpopulation either.
Yeah, no. So, but obviously, Cho Han-hyun was born in a time when Korea had much less population, and also Cho Chi-kun. So you may find.
Yeah,
geniuses.
You never know. I mean, the fact that Shin Jinseo is so dominant will definitely help usher in people who want to be like him.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I would say that Quzhou has already had that effect.
Right. Yeah.
Considering the current crop of talent coming up, we've already got some professional 11 and 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
In China.
So yeah.
I don't fear for Korea's future. I think that they will end up. I'm not sure if they'll find another Shin Jinseo in the next 10 years, but I think there will be strong players in their future.
I just have a theory that like maybe players like Lee Se-do and was so special, but then if your base, your training system is so good that you could produce 10 Lee Se-dos, then they just become the top 10 players. They just look normal. You have to kind of find someone more extraordinary to stand out going forward.
Yeah. Like I think a good example of that is like Byun Sangil. I think without Shin Jinseo, Byun Sangil might be considered, a bit of, a legend.
Yeah.
He probably could have won twice as many career titles as he has now, but he's in the same generation as Shin Jinseo, and he's it's really hindered his sort of recognition. Yeah. Like he really could be. He might well be one of the 5 best players in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
It's so hard to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's hope to see less dangers from him.
Yeah, I think like Byun Sangil, like most people don't even. I think most pro fans don't even know who he is. Like everyone knows Shin Jinseo, everyone knows Quzhou, everyone obviously knows Lee Se-do.
Yeah.
Most people know Park Chun-won. He's been around for ages.
Yeah.
And people will probably recognize,
the more niche fans will probably recognize names like Yang Dingjing, Gu Zihao, Mi Yu Ting, Fan Ting Yu. But names like Byun Sangil, not many people have probably even, not many Go fans have probably even heard of him.
Yeah, but he's like consistently number 3 in Korea. So.
People, to be honest, people probably haven't heard of Lee Junhao either. Yeah. I'm just thinking, like he's been around for a while, but he's really only started winning titles this year.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, both of those players are so good.
Yeah.
Like they really are special, generational, not generational talents, but super players.
Yeah, 100%.
Like if another Korean comes that has the potential of Byun Sangil, that's something pretty special.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. All right. So that's a wrap for the topics for this week. Gaza, shall we move onto looking at the calendar for a bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So something that has taken place this week but hasn't finished yet.
Yep.
Is the Samsung Cup Korean prelims.
Right.
Now, many rounds have been played so far, but I didn't want to discuss them because there's still so many players left.
Yeah.
And the prelims, I do believe that they finish next week, and I think it'd just be better to discuss the actual qualifiers next week.
Yeah.
For the Samsung Cup.
Yep.
The Korean qualifiers.
100%. Yep.
We've got another JAR League round next week.
Yep. Yes.
The draw for that's not out yet.
No.
But it doesn't matter. There'll be definitely some good matchups there.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yep. What else do we have in? I mean, obviously on the weekend we've got the Nie Weiping International. Yep. So we've got the round of 16 and the quarterfinals.
Yep.
In Korea, we also have 2 Myeongin games. We might be able to do a short update on the Myeongin next podcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully we do.
Yeah.
In Japan, we have some big games. Two challenger finals.
Yeah.
On Monday we have the Urza Challenger Final.
Yep.
That's probably the biggest tournament where the final that doesn't involve the 2-day games.
Yep.
Probably the biggest tournament in Japan, apart from the 2-day games.
Yep.
That one's between Shibano and Yu Zhengqi, so 2 very, very strong players there.
Yep, 100%.
The current Urza title holder is Iyama Yuta, who won against Shibano last year. So Shibano's trying to win that title back.
Yep.
And then on Thursday, we've got the Women's Honinbo Challenger Final.
Nice.
So Yuno Asami is playing Kato Chi.
Yes.
And I think we mentioned this in the last podcast.
Yeah.
That about Yuno Asami beating Nakamura Sumire in the semi-final. And about Kato Chi and her sort of the problems that she has in her life. And I have to say, I'm completely biased here. I'm hoping that Kato Chi wins this one.
Yep, 100%. Yep.
No offense to Yuno Asami. She's a champion through and through, but Kato Chi, I have a soft spot for her.
Yep.
Good luck to both though.
Yep.
That's pretty much it for Japan. Anything in China this next week?
Well, I mean, apart from the JAR League, I do believe the women's Quzhou, so that would be in Korean it would be called Quzhou, but that's women's Quzhou that will be on the round of 16.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a big women's tournament.
Yeah, but now I'm wondering if it's been postponed again, but I'm not 100% sure.
If it's postponed, we'll announce it in the subreddit for sure.
Yeah, and
I have to say though, I'm interested to see how Yu Zhiying performs in that one.
Right.
She hasn't had a great. You would have to argue she hasn't had a great year so far.
No.
She lost in the Senko Cup.
Yep.
And she lost in the Wu Qingwan Cup.
Yeah. So it's not been a great year.
No, it's not been a great year, and I don't think she's won that many games domestically either.
Yeah.
Not compared to
players like Lu Mingchuan and Zhou Hongyu at least.
Yeah.
Or even like Wu Yiming. She did qualify for the Asian Games though, so
yeah,
there's that. But
yeah.
Hopefully, I'm curious to see how she does.
Yeah, and by the next time the podcast is recorded, we may have the first rounds of Mingren being played. So Mingren, of course, is the Chinese word for Meijin. So that would be another knockout tournament.
Who's the current Mingren? I'm going to try and find out right now. It's Mi Yuting.
It's Mi Yuting. Yeah, it might be Mi Yuting, yes. Mi Yuting took it from... Yeah, it might have been...
I'm seeing here, but Mi Yuting won it 3 years ago. Is that the last time it was held?
No. I think it's... You're looking at the English Wikipedia. If I'm not wrong, Quzhou won that one. Won the last one. If I'm not wrong.
I'm looking at the Go To Everyone website. That's
right. Okay. I can't. Maybe it was held long time ago, but yeah, it just got restarted. I think it says here that the last time, maybe last time it was Mi Yuting 2019, because I don't see it being updated here. Yeah, so it might have been stopped due to COVID or something.
It does. It does look like, because the Chinese Wikipedia, the last one was in 2019. I don't think it's been held since then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The Chinese Wikipedia gets updated.
Yeah.
Fairly regularly. So.
So that might be it. Yeah. So I might just have forgotten about it. I might have got it mixed up with another tournament.
Will Mi Yuting still be the challenger, considering it's been so many years? Like when the Myungin was held 5 years after a break of 5 years, they didn't have a title holder challenger thing, but then again, they don't have a title holder challenger now, even though like Shin Jinseo won it, but he still has to compete from the beginning. I wonder if the Mingren, if Mi Yuting gets to hold that title for 3 years and gets directly seeded into the match, he might do actually.
Yeah, he might do. If I just vaguely remember that he does, and I might have mixed up the Mingyan with Tianyuan, which was won by Quzhou, if I'm not wrong. So I do believe that's restarting.
That's great. That's great to hear.
So that will be coming. Hopefully, it doesn't get postponed. But that's about it. It might just be another maybe quieter round, but still pretty big with the Nie Weiping.
It looks like there'll only be one for Shin Jinseo fans. It looks like he may only be playing one game next week.
Yeah, Jalik, or he may sit it out depending on what happens. But let's see.
Because I believe that a lot of the Korean events have been, because of the Samsung Cup.
Right.
They're not holding other Korean games at the same time.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. All right then. All right, sounds like that's another wrap. Thank you, Gaza. It's great.
My pleasure,
as always. And we'll see you next time. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. See you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.